Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to see how to create an API with Golang and MongoDB. We're going to be adding a couple of things like Docker Compose, a couple of migrations without any CLI installation. That way you guys, we're not going to need migrations, not for this. That will be for the next tutorial video. But I do plan to show you guys how to use a different way of doing migrations without having to install SQLX or SQLC. I want to do a video about testing in Golang, but probably I'm going to be using Postgres. Anyway, I want to do this video because a lot of you guys probably use TypeScript or, Python or whichever programming language that is not Golang or whatever. And probably you're using MongoDB because it's a very easy database to set up. So I'm also going to show you guys how to create your MongoDB Docker image, or well, Docker container from a MongoDB image. So let's go ahead and let's start with the project. So the first thing that we're going to do is the following. I am here in my Go folder, and this is my folder for YouTube actually. So this is where I have all my Golang YouTube tutorial stuff. What I'm going to do is I already actually created the folder, as you can see is Mongo, this one right here. So I'm just going to cd into it. So Mongo to do API. So this is an empty folder, as you can see. It has nothing in it, as you can see. So I'm going to init a GitHub repo. Well, sorry, not a GitHub repo. Project with Golang, and then later I'll create the GitHub repo. And when you see this, obviously you'll see this on the comment section, the GitHub repo link. So go init mod, and this will be github.com go mongo, and I'll put go mongo to-dos, something simple. Go mod init. Then I always get confused if one goes before the other. There you go. So now we have our go mod created. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna enter into my project. You can use code space dot, you can do this in VS Code, and that's fine. I'm just gonna be doing this in Vim. So just like VS Code, just is your side menu. This is where you see your code, and there's a terminal. Almost the same thing. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do is create my command folder, and I can put API server main whatever. I like to leave it as API, and here I'm gonna put the main.go. Okay, so you can just go ahead and create those in VS Code. If you're using VS Code, it's exactly the same thing. My package is going to be main, and I can run the following. It works. So we need to import the format package, and then I can just run go run. Then I have to point to the main file, and it works perfect. What we want to do, we want to start doing a couple of things before we even start developing the API, and this should be fairly short, but we want to have a good setup. So the first thing that I'm going to do is create a make file. We're in the make file, of course. We're going to automate the build and executing process. I also like to have an executable, like a shell script, but in this case, well, it depends. I may add it later. For now, it should be fine. What I will add is the following: a git ignore. So git ignore, and you guys should make a habit of adding this right in the beginning and not in your .env file there. Now I can just do git init and make sure that your .env is not there. Again, you will see the GitHub repo completed when you're seeing the video, so do not worry. What else do I need to add? Let's add, I don't want to do the Docker Compose just yet. So what I'm going to do is the following. First, I want to include my .env. So this is telling make to, whenever we execute the binaries, to be able to read from our .env file, which again, right now, I cannot, did I create it? .env, there you go. So right now it's empty, but let's go ahead and let's create something. So binary, and we can name this YouTube Mongo to-dos. You know, it really doesn't matter. Whatever you want to name your binary, you can name it whatever you want. I can go into my make file, say build, do go build the output, do binary, and then this point to command, and then API, and then main.go. I believe you can leave it like so. Let's test it. Make build. What is this? Stalling a little bit. Okay, it took a while, but it's working. So now I can do YouTube Mongo to-dos, and it works. Okay. So this is working now with including the .env. Perfect. Now we can do run, start, whatever you want. Actually, I'm gonna do run because it's closer. Actually, either or is fine. And I can do the following. So this is really useful because you can just change the name of your binary and, you know, put the name here in your environment. So I'm gonna do that. So I can now do make run, and that works. And then we can do we can do restart, which will do build and run. Which again, just so it doesn't collide, I guess I can put start here. So then I do make restart, and that essentially is kind of like go run, but you know, it actually builds the binary and executes the binary. I don't know, it's just, I like the way that works. So we have that. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and start with the MongoDB setup. So we're gonna create first a Docker image. Actually, scratch that. We don't need the Docker image for this. We're gonna go straight into the Docker Compose file. And there's a good reason why I'm using, so before I was not against, but I didn't like to use Docker Compose before, but the more I use Docker Compose, I see the value that Docker Compose has. So to create a Docker image, like you have to create the Docker container, then you have to create the database inside a Docker container, and then if you want to add if you want to add data inside of the database, then you know, actually that's also another command aside from Docker Compose. But Docker Compose does like the same thing in all one command, and you have the command here. You can call this, it's not, I wouldn't say it's infrastructure as code, but you have everything written and declared, so there's less errors for you as a software engineer when it comes to creating this image. So in that way, Docker Compose is very useful. So I'm gonna put services here, services, and I'm gonna call this MongoDB. You can put container name. So what I like to do is the following. I'm actually gonna open here the binary. So container name, and I'm gonna put MongoDB to-dos YouTube. So in order for this to work, I believe, let me get my notes quickly. One sec. Okay, yeah, so I just had a quick doubt on we had to do that or this, but this is fine for that specific declaration. So I can put container name. We can be more explicit, saying container DB container name. So you know exactly to which container does this refer to. So this is the database container name. So that's the variable that it refers to. The image, we're going to be using a specific MongoDB image, which is Mongo 4.2.16 Bionic, and you can check this in Docker Hub, but I did this tutorial before, so I know that it works. But if for some reason you're watching this like a year after or whatever, hopefully people are watching this still after a year, then you can go ahead and check the latest one. But currently, as I'm making this video, this is the current one. So yeah, this should work. Environment. So why am I writing environment? Environment, yeah. I want to bring this following variables into my Docker container when I create it. So, and these are default. You should not change the name of this. You should write them as they are. I struggled for like a couple of minutes, if not like an hour, trying to deduce why it was not working properly, and it was because I was choosing to write whatever I wanted, and that's not how it works. Specifically for MongoDB, you need to write this when creating the Docker image, the Docker container, sorry. But I can do the following. So MongoDB, this MongoDB will be my variable that I write here. So this is the name of my database. So I'm gonna call this to-dos DB. What else? Mongo init db root and then username, and then I'm gonna put MongoDB username, same thing. Oh, I'm gonna use root. Actually, what do I have, root or admin? Let me check. I think I had admin. I'm gonna put admin here, and this for the example. Obviously, whenever you are in production, probably either you choose a more secure username and password, or you don't use Docker specifically. You may use an AWS instance, but for this tutorial that should work. So yeah, I have admin. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do this, but instead of DB username, DB password. Okay, so I'm just gonna do the following user. Actually, let's do, okay, no, I was trying to get a little bit too clever, but that won't work. Username, and I'm gonna change it for password. Okay, that should work. Write all. I don't think I'm missing anything other than the ports. Oh, the indentation, very important. By the way, check that your indentation is exactly like mine. If for some reason you don't have it exactly like mine, you're gonna get an error. And Docker Compose will tell you. So just have in mind that the proper indentation has to be there. So we're gonna expose this to our local host from the local host of the container. So we're mapping the same port, and that's it. So we can do Docker Compose up -d, or we can do the following. I can put up, and I can do Docker Compose up -d, then down Docker Compose down let me check if I'm missing something. So I added a couple of things here, which I forgot. Up, build, and then remove orphans. Which I believe this gets rid of stuff that is not in use. I believe I need to recheck this, but I remember adding this and being useful. There, Docker compose down. That's fine. Okay, so that should work. You can get fancy and say, you know, you can add an echo, you know, starting MongoDB container. Then you can do stopping MongoDB. Well, actually, it should be containers. In this case, we only have one, but you can have multiple with Docker compose. So we can do that. And then, so I have Docker desktop, which, by the way, I have this Docker compose running with only one container. But when you see this running, this should start, well, it should create the image started with all this database data. So the database name with the username and password, which, remember, that comes from here. And yeah, you'll see it running. So let's go ahead and do make up. Variable not set, default to blank stream. Okay, db docker container name. db docker container name. Okay, let me see if I missed something. Did I miss setting up something? Okay, no, I don't think I'm missing anything. What about here? Do I have a typo? Yes, that's why I have a typo. Okay, let's start again. Services, environment must be a mapping. So I probably have either wrong indentation or a typo here. Environment. Mongo init db root password. Database root username. So this, yeah, I missed another indentation. Speaking of indentations, I believe that should fix it. And there you go. So let's go here, and as you see now, we have our MongoDB container working. Now this is actually a Postgres, so this mapping to 5432, so it's not clashing. But actually, I'm just gonna stop it. Okay, no, okay. All right, so here you go. Now we only have MongoDB. Perfect. So everything is ready to continue to creating and connecting our application. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna do the following. I'm gonna have a db and db.go folder and file respectively. We're gonna create our handlers, which is another way of saying routers. So handlers.go. We're gonna have service. And instead of service, this is going to be our to-do service. So to-do.go. What else? Let me see if I'm missing something. Command handler service. Okay, no, that's it. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's start with the database. So package DB, that is going to be our package. Let's write all so we can close this safely. I may, just to make sure, yeah, I may have to add in the start, I may have to add like a port here or something of the sort. Just making sure. Post get all post up. Run. Yeah, the MongoDB username and the password. Okay, so we'll add this in a bit right now when we finish the db.go. Okay, but let's go ahead and let's create our connection and everything that we need for the MongoDB database. So we're going to be doing the following. So I'm going to create a variable called collection, and this is going to be using the mongo.collection struct from this package. And it's fine. I'm actually not gonna like install this right now. I'm gonna show you guys a very neat trick, so I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Don't worry about the errors. I'm gonna do func connect to Mongo, and this is going to return a mongo.client or an error. Well, it'll return both, but if there's no errors, it will return nil with the Mongo client. Otherwise, a null or empty struct with the actual error. So client options. This will equal options.client, and options, by the way, also comes from another library, in case you were wondering where is that coming from, which we'll be using. So see here, options, that's where it comes from. Client.apply URI, so essentially connect to the MongoDB instance, and this from our Docker instance, so MongoDB //localhost, and then we're going to do 27017. So that is going to be our local instance. Again, do not worry about the errors for now. Username, we want this to be all retrieve from our .env file. So I'm going to do, I forget the variables. So username, which I know I have a typo. I'll correct it right now. Username, and then we want to do the same but with the password. MongoDB password. So then we're going to do the following: client options, set auth options dot credentials, or credential, and we'll pass a username with our username variable and password with the password variable. And don't worry about the return right now. We'll return the client in a bit. By the way, you can add comments here. I have some comments. I don't know if that brings value to you, but I'm gonna add them anyway. MongoDB connection string, getting username and password from .env, setting auth credentials. I mean, the code is very self-explanatory, but it never hurts to comment the code. And then we will connect to Mongo. Connect to Mongo. So client error mongo.connect. We have to pass context so we can either cancel, gracefully exit, all that good context stuff. And it's not context, is context background. and we'll pass the client options in order to connect. Again, I'm just going to deal with the error. If there is an error, I should actually also return something here. I don't know why I left it as an empty return, but so log fatal error, and I believe okay. Fatal does return like it with fatal it exits, but let me see something. Okay, return nil error, client decline not used. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Interesting. I have something interesting there. Okay. Let me write something here. To do check either using to do or background. Okay, we'll leave it like that. So we have that. If there is no error at this point, if we reach this line of code, then we can say that we are connected to Mongo. Then we can just return the client and nil error. Very important. And also I'm gonna create another function that I think is very useful. So func, let me put this here, func get collection pointer, mongo.collection, and then we just return return collection, Mongo collection, no. Let me see if, yeah, that should be this one right here. Yeah. So we're returning this collection. Why is that important? Because it's just like an easy way to pointer whenever you work with handlers. Actually, not handlers. With whenever you make either create queries, update, delete, insert queries, you can just point to the collection, which is this one right here, which is the yeah, probably. Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm gonna delete this because for this project it works. But if you have multiple collections, then the collections will change, and then this stops being useful. Which this also may not be useful in the future. But we'll leave it like that for now. Okay. All right, so now we have our DB connect to Mongo function created. So now what I'm going to do is go mod tidy. So what go mod tidy does, it goes ahead and installs whatever we have imported here. It looks for the latest package version and it installs it. So it's very useful. That way you don't have to type and get typos. So my neon vim doesn't pick up on the I hate when my telescope does that. Okay, let's see if now, okay, no, one more shot. Okay, there you go. Sometimes it kind of like jams. Anyway, we were in db.go. So see, now the errors are gone. So go mod tidy did work, in fact. Oh, Or did my, what happened? Did I exit? Okay, let me change this because I'm gonna get YouTube go Mongo. Yeah, I was doing some Jenkins before. Okay, so we have that. So now let's go into the main and let's set up the database connection and all the good stuff. Create the server, running, all that stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and create the application struct here. I know that you can create a models folder, but I believe that since this is where the application lives, it makes sense to put the struct here. And you know, the models, whenever you have models like you know, multiple models that are going to be interacting with the database, I normally put them in the services. Why not in the DB? Because this is only exclusively for a DB connection. These services interact with the DB. So like if we had users entity, I would put the users entity and structs in here. The to-dos, I'll put the to-do struct here. If we had orders, I'll put them there, and etc. And that is why I'm going to put the application struct here, because this is very specific to starting the application. So actually, in order to make things easier, the models actually, as I just mentioned, would come from the services. Right now, I don't have a services dot, you know, the to do would be one of my models. And I can even put models, but for this application, it doesn't make sense to be that thorough. But you know, let's go ahead and let's create the services. So package services, type to do struct, where the to do is going to have an ID of type. I always forget, like, well, string, it has JSON ID, and then bson ID. And actually, let me get my note so I can write this properly. JSON ID, I wouldn't put, oh yeah, omit empty. Omit empty, so I'm gonna yank that, put that there. Basin underscore omit empty. Okay, so this goes here. Okay. Struct field JSON omit cannot commit get key. Oh, actually, I'll put this in caps. Okay, so now it's not complaining. I think we're gonna have the task itself of type string. We're gonna have completed of type boolean, and well, created at and updated at, which is time. Okay, let me copy this and I'll change specific stuff. Okay, so rather than ID, this is going to be task. Let me change this to task, and I'm actually going to do something. I know there's a quicker way doing this in Vim. I still need to learn some more advanced stuff. Oh my god. Okay, one more time. I know that I'm okay. Whatever. Let's keep on going with this. So I have task, and I'm gonna change it to completed. Same thing with this. I have task, and I'm gonna change it to created at. Okay, and lastly, and by the way, if you do this, you know, in your own way, feel free, which I'm sure you're already doing. Created, I'm just gonna change it for updated, and then I'm just going to format it. Oh my god. There you go. And there's the format. Okay, let's see. Why do I have an error? Oh, these comments. Probably. Yeah. This should go away, I believe. JSON. Okay. Same thing with this. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, like the format, but just so you can see, it's the JSON, open quotes, the ID, the column omit empty, close quotes, bson. So bson is for like the MongoDB object, and omit empty, and you go like that. Again, you can just watch this in the repo. I know I took my time writing this. You guys probably can just copy paste it. Okay, so now we need a pointer to a client so we can connect and make queries and whatnot. Also, I am going to I'm going to see, why do I need a new function where this takes the Mongo client pointer, Mongo client, and it returns. Oh, I see why. Whenever I initialize this with, you know, in the application, that way the whole application has the context, and you know, I can execute these queries. Okay, so this is needed. I need to be able to make sure that our models have the context or the state. That way, whenever we connect to the database, we can pass the database state into this package and make the reference to the database. Otherwise, if we don't do this new thing, and you'll see the new whenever I create the application, we won't be able to, you know, make those actual queries into the database. So this is very important. And that's also why the context is important. Okay, so I have that. So, okay, I have the struct to do. I have my new function. Then I'm gonna have return collection pointer. Oh, that's the one. That's the important one. Okay, return collection pointer. We can do this later. We'll get to this, but for now, this is what we need. So this is the thing here. Normally, what I do is this. I don't know if this is the best. Oh my god, I don't know why this keep like showing up. I don't know if this is the way to do things, but I like to have like a main.go inside of my services file. And then instead of the main.go, I can say, well, first of all, package services type, and I put models services, models struct, and then put all my models here. It's just an easy way to put all the models that I have inside of the services here. So this is like my main file, kind of like the index, if you want to think it that way. So then when I go into my main.go, now I should import it. Models to do, yeah, maybe I did not write it. This should be services dot models. All right, so that's what we do. Which, by the way, actually in my project I have this, but you know, normally you want to do that and then just do one more dot whenever you are instantiating the models field from the application object that you create upon using this struct. So I'm going to leave it like that. But here I want to open the db.go just so you guys can see. And let's go ahead and let's create the connection. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to create a Mongo client variable. What am I doing? This goes here, where we point to the, or we assign this to the connect MongoDB variable. If there's an error, you already know what to do. We need to deal with the error, and we can do log.panic, and panic actually returns or, you know, stops the application, so this is more than fine. If there's no error, then we can go ahead and create our context. That, remember, we want to pass this context created, like think of context kind of like state. So we want the connection state of the database passed into our application models again, so our models can connect and talk and make those queries to the database. And we're also going to pass cancel, which is a variable that we also can use that, you know, at the end of our application, we can, you know, cancel the connection or cancel the state. So we're going to be using context with timeout, context.background, and we're going to pass how many seconds do we want to use in order to time out. You know, if the connection is taking long, 50 seconds is actually too long, but it's more than enough. So if it's taking more than 15 seconds, it will exit out. And then defer cancel. Defer goes all the way at the end. Defer func, so this is a IFE. So IFE invoke function execution, or current, I believe. I don't know if it's current necessarily, but it's an anonymous function and it's executed. So, you know, it's invoked and executed at, you know, that same time. And you see this in JavaScript actually. But yeah, we want to assign this to a Mongo connection. So we're saying if there is an error whenever we connect to whenever we disconnect, then we want to panic. That's what we want to do here. So again, if error is not equal to nil, we panic. Otherwise, there's nothing that we do. Services. So yeah, see how we're using this new function? We're passing the client, which is the Mongo client, into our struct to do. That way we have that connection. And we can just put log print line server running in port 8080. Otherwise, well, not otherwise, but if there is an error, we're gonna wrap all of this in a fatal. So if something goes wrong with the listen and serve function, then it'll fatal out and print the error. Otherwise, we'll just listen continuously. Handler dot create router. Now we don't have this. We don't have this handlers create router, so we can go ahead and install that. And it's not going to be a gorilla, so we'll get rid of that. We will also get rid of the format library for now. And let's go ahead and create a simple router for now. Our router will be, so I'm actually going to put it inside of the handlers. I think that's where our router should be. I'm not going to make a separate package because I think it's unnecessary to put just one file in a complete separate package. Number one. Number two, the handler and the router, they go hand in hand. So I'm just going to put it here. And this is my handlers package. So I'm going to do the following. Func, what did I call it? Create router. Okay. Func create router, and this will return an HTTP dot not router, HTTP. It's not client. I forgot the exact struct. Oh, I'm actually returning chmux. Okay, never mind. So, and same thing. Do not worry, we'll do go mod tidy. So just leave that with the error. Don't stress about it. Now, honestly, I don't see value in me writing all of this. And by this, you'll see what I mean by that. I highly suggest you guys that you copy this from the repo. Let me get rid of that. Let me close this. And these are the, and I'll create the router variable, by the way. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and create it right now. So router equals chi dot new router. So I'm going to go ahead and explain what is this, but I'm not going to write it myself. So this is the cross origin resource sharing, right? So this essentially tells the application which origins are allowed, which methods are allowed. So essentially the get, post, put, delete an option. If I wanted to add patch, I could add it here. The allowed headers, so all these headers, exposed headers, allowed credentials, and max age 300 milliseconds, I believe. So, you know, this is just, you know, to add that extra layer of security and, you know, the course declaration. So again, I don't see that much value on you guys writing this on your own. You can just copy paste it. But, you know, it's good that you know, if you don't understand anything, just if you don't understand something, sorry, go ahead and Google this. But yeah, that's the only thing. Now, I can go ahead and do router dot, I'm gonna do router dot get. I'm gonna call this health check, http dot handler func, and I forgot how to do this from scratch. I believe is let me see, handler func response writer. Okay, so health check. Okay, so I think I can do the following. Func so W for the HTTP dot response writer and request, so request to the pointer of HTTP dot request, and then I'll do r dot write. I don't know, I'm doing this on the fly. I should probably get the notes rather than like do it on the fly. response writer. Okay, so let's do the following. Let's see if this works. If not, it's a very quick update. So if you write this with me, it won't be in vain. Do not worry. Do copy this as I write it. So I'm gonna put health check code 200, meaning the status HTTP status is 200. Then I'm going to declare a JSON response where we are going to marshal or put this in a JSON format. Response. Don't I have a response struct? Service response. 1 second, let me see, because I want to check router.go. Am I handler to do? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna do the following. I'm gonna create a struct here. So struct response, sorry, type struct, and then message, which is of type string, and then code, which is of type int. Unless I'm missing something. Yeah, that's fine. I know this looks a bit messy. Let's go ahead and do go mod tidy. So it went ahead and got the G packages. So okay. Let's see if my telescope doesn't. There you go. All right, so the errors are gone. That's annoying. I may have to also. Let's see if it gets this from Kochi. So this actually Kochi cores B5, I believe. Just wanted to check so you guys have the exact. Oh no, okay, so that's fine. Go mod tidy. Go mod tidy. Okay. And I believe. Do I need the middleware right now? No. Okay. So let's keep on going. All right. So let's finish. What we had in mind to finish, which is the following. We have our JSON response. If something goes wrong, since this a handler, we're not going to return anything. We're just going to log.print the error if there's such error. And if everything goes right, we're gonna first, before doing the r-write, we're gonna do r.header.set content type and application/JSON. R header. Am I missing something? Oh, W. Because we're writing this. My mistake. And we're going to write that with the JSON response that we declared here. And here we just need to return the router. So return router. Yeah, that should be fine. Router G. Oh, I need to create, well, I need to declare this as a pointer. There you go. Let me get rid of that. Okay. Cannot import github.co/g course. Why not? Go mod tidy. Okay, right click all. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff done here. All of this just to make sure that we can do that here. I know it's a lot, but it's necessary. So handlers, make sure you're importing the right one. So handlers, create router, and there should be no error. So now I can go ahead and do make, I can even do make restart, which remember that does the restart, does build and start. Expected package found, end of line. Okay, so probably I have a file there that has no package declaration. Let's check what haven't I done to do. That's fine. Services, router, handlers. This one. Okay, so that's giving me the error. So it's built, and you see how it says connected to Mongo and server running in port 8000. So that's good. So now what I'm gonna do is the following. I'm gonna show you guys that this is necessary to verify that you guys are connected to your Docker instance. So the first thing that you want to do is, number one, go here. You can go to your Docker container, inspect, make sure that your Mongo innate root username is whatever you declared, your database is whatever you declared, and the password is whatever you declared, right? So with these things, then now here, I'm gonna edit this. So confirm, I'm actually going to paste all of this so you can see it, and I don't care that you see this because obviously, you know, I'm gonna delete this, it's in my local environment, I don't care that you guys see this. So I'm gonna paste it here. So notice how I have, and probably it's all okay. Notice how I have admin, so this is the user. Notice how I have password, obviously the password. Then I have localhost, and you know, I have localhost 27017. To-dos is the name of the database. I actually need to change this. I need to change the to-dos because my database now is to-dos DB. So this will have to be to-dos DB. What else? Auth source, admin, and read preference equal primary. So I'm gonna also put this on the description. Or you know, I can put this. I can put this in the make file. Let's see. Connection string, you know, so you guys can have it there. And honestly, I don't care that anyone sees this because I'm gonna delete this anyway. So that should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this. Okay, so now I'm gonna create my new connection. So this one, I'm gonna, you know, leave it like that. Create a new connection. You guys can copy from the repo the string that you're gonna have here. I'm gonna click save. I'm gonna put YouTube MongoDB to-dos. Save, and let's try to connect. And so the database doesn't appear here, but the fact that you're connected, those are good signs. So do not worry that that is not there yet. What I do want to make sure is that we can make a health check request. So let's go to Postman. By the way, I don't know if my head has been like covering some stuff here. Hopefully not. But anyway, you're gonna have this on GitHub again, so you can follow along easily. So before I die of thirst, one sec. Okay. Let's make that health check. So, and this for another application. Okay. Localhost 8080 well, HTTP localhost. Let me see if I can. There you go. Localhost HTTP 8080 health check. And there you go. So we have our message health check code 200, and this is the code 200. Perfect. So we have our API working. So now let's go ahead and start adding a little bit more, not more complexity, but let's, you know, do the CRUD. And also I'm going to show you guys something cool about the router. So what I like to do is the following, which is why I was going to use the new routing library from Golang, but I don't know. It just seems Chi is so good that I don't find the need to add the standard library router as of yet. I haven't been able to do that much research, and I really wanted to release this ASAP. So if you guys can do this with the standard HTTP router, by all means do it. And you know, get rid of one more dependency, that is Chi. Even though Chi, you know, adheres to the standard library, so it's really not a big deal using Chi. I use Chi for almost everything because it's that good. So what I can do is wrap this here. Why is it doing that? There you go. Okay. So Chi route cannot use func router Chi route. Huh. Am I missing something? Get health check. It's saying cannot use func router Chi route. I believe that's a typo from, well, not a typo, but I believe that may be wrong from the linter. Let's see if we can build. So I'm going to type make restart. Let's see if it breaks. Okay, just kidding. Let me Control C and then do make restart. Okay, non-declaration outside function body. Handlers. Okay. In the router.go probably. Handlers go. Oh wow. I left that there. Okay, now, okay, undefined method get, okay. Router.get. What am I missing? Cannot use function. Okay, so the error is here. Chi router. Okay, I see. So let me put this back in. Let's put that there. And there you go. The error goes away. And by the way, we're gonna put this in a separate function right now. I was just trying to be quick. I think this is really neat. Why? Because you can wrap all of this with API, and you can even go ahead and do router.route, and then you can do, let's say v1, and same thing, func router chi.router, and you know, keep nesting if you copy and move this properly, of course. But look at this, look how neat this is. So version 1, and then you can put version 2, right? I know that like you guys probably won't do this for this specific project, but in other projects you can just easily do router route v2, and then func, you know, same thing, func router chi, sorry, router chi dot router, and then put like everything of version 2 inside of that. So for me, this is really, really neat because you can wrap, you know, all the version 1 methods inside of one, you know, router wrapper, all the version 2 methods inside another router wrapper. So it's easily to keep track. Again, there won't be a need in this project, but then you don't have to be writing all the time AP1, B1, which ones belong to B1, which ones belong to B2. And let's you know, refactor this. Let's go to the handlers because that's, you know, what this is for. And we can do the following. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. We can do that. Not there. But we can call this health check. Or even just health check. Import that. Import JSON. Import the log, so make sure you have those imports. You write this, and when you do the formatting, you know, you can put countries health check, simple function to test API if it's working, right? Very simple. And then you can go into your router, and then you can just easily just put router.get, you declare the route, so health check, and then you just point to health check without the parentheses, of course, and that's it. Very simple, very neat. So that's that. That's in the handlers. So now let's go ahead and create the, let's first start with the insertion, and then we go into the get all. Because, you know, if we cannot create whenever we get the to-dos, there won't be anything there. So what I'm going to be doing is the following. Before I even create the handler, let's go ahead and create the service, which for now we don't have anything except this initiation of an empty struct. So I'm going to say func insert to do. What do we need in order to create a to do? So we're probably going to get a body. Or I'm just gonna call it to do. So this will be of type to do, and what do I want to return? I forgot specifically for MongoDB. I know there's something specific. Okay, so in this case I went by error, so I'm not going to return anything. I'm going to return a 200 HTTP status code from the handler, but you know, we won't return a display of the object in this case. So I'm going to be doing the following, and by the way, I need to make sure that I'm, you know, creating this as a method of the to-do struct. So we need to add this t pointer to the to-do. So this again refers that this is a method, not just a function of its own. It's a method that belongs to the to-do struct. So I'm going to do collection, and here is where I created a auxiliary function, the one that I was going to create on the DB. So what I do is the following. So client database to-dos dot collection to do's, and this is wrong, by the way. This is to-dos DB because that's the database. Let me double check. To-dos underscore DB, yeah, to-dos underscore DB. Okay, that's fine. So this is my pointer to the collection. What I can do is, did I write this at the top? Return collection. Yeah, actually, never mind. Basically, I was putting this line in a function and returning it, but you know, sure, I'm writing. No, I'll create it because I'm writing one whole word instead of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, which I could copy paste, but I think, you know, this is return collection pointer. So Mongo, I'm gonna return a collection pointer, and basically I will copy all of this here. Again, feel free not to, you know, if you feel like you don't want to create that function, you don't need to. But, you know, here I just do return collection and that's it. It's quicker. And I like putting this in the to-dos file because this refers to the to-dos collection. You know, I can even make this more generic and then just pass the collection here. And, you know, I can probably do that. Sorry. Collection of type string, and then here just pass collection, and then here I just pass to-dos. So, you know, this becomes even more generic and I can use this across all my files. But whatever, you know, whatever is easier to you, you can just write that line and be done with it. So var to-dos, this will be an array of to-dos. Sorry, why am I doing this? I don't need this. Not for the insertion. Insert, okay. So we have the pointer. Now what we're going to be doing is do the insertion. So the way we do this is with the collection pointer, we insert one object, we pass the context to do, and I know it's confusing. This to do, obviously the context to do has nothing to do with the actual to do struct. There's just another way of declaring like the background context. So just so you know, we're going to pass the task field, which, what did I put here to do? I can put here entry, or you can leave it as to do. I'm gonna leave it as entry because I may name another variable to do. So entry dot task. Then I'm gonna have completed is equal to entry completed. And what else did I have? Oh, created at, which that is just time.now. And that's it. Error declare not used. Okay, if there's an error, then handle it. So we return that. Okay. Otherwise, oh, and we want to print it, of course. I forgot. Log that print line error. Otherwise, we return nil. Okay, cool. We are not putting the ID because remember, MongoDB auto generates the ID, and same with updated at. It's not something that we need. Actually, it should be exactly the same. But whenever you do an update, you actually change the update and not the created at. So yeah, I think that should be fine. I'm gonna do a write all. Let's do make restart, and probably that's because we have a lot of unused imports. Handler import and not used. Yeah. So this is coming from the router.go. So I'm gonna organize the imports. So essentially get rid of all the imports that you're not using. The version 2, so notice how I'm leaving it empty. For the sake of these, okay, I'm gonna show you guys how this works, but then I'm gonna get rid of it because it may be a little bit cumbersome, but you can leave it if you want. For bigger projects, it makes sense to do versioning. For this right now, it doesn't really matter. But let's go ahead and let's just use it with the health check. So API v1. So you see how that works with the v1. With the v2, like probably this, I don't know if this will error out. Yeah, there's nothing there, because obviously we don't have anything there. But yeah, we can get rid of that. I don't, this is too much for this example, but know that you can do that. You know what? Yeah, hell with it. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Expected and found. Okay, this is from this. Add it if you want. So you can use this for other projects, Postgres, whatever. You have the template there if you want. Now let's also add the post. So we're gonna say, so I'm debating whether I should create another wrapper, but this can be very cumbersome. I like to have my routing a little bit more streamlined. If I tend to have more than 6, then maybe I'll create a wrapper, but for the amount of different endpoints that we will have, I don't think it's really necessary or useful. So here I'm going to be pointing to my handlers. I mean, not handlers. There should be a create to do, which is not created yet. But let's leave it like that. So I'm gonna go to the handlers, and let's rename this because that's not the proper. This handler is specific to the to-dos handler. So to-dos handler, to-do. Let's leave it singular. Yeah, to-do handler. And we'll leave the health check there. That's fine. So now let's go ahead and create an create to-do handler where we have the http dot response writer and the request parameters, and then we can go ahead and well, first of all, we have to get this from the body. So we have to, it's going to come as a JSON. So we have to decode the JSON, get it into a struct, and then send it into the service. So that's what we have to do as a high level. Let me get my notes because I don't know this by heart. Insert. Okay. So as I said, we need to decode it. So JSON new decoder. So we're gonna get this from the body also, as I mentioned, and we decode it and then we assign it. So some people, what they like to do is declare a bar, and I can call this to do of type to do, which is actually services to do. Okay, I forgot to add the import, that's why. So, and then you can, assign that decoding into this variable that you just declared. But you're going to be doing this over and over again. So what I like to do, and if anyone knows if there's like a bad practice or an anti-pattern or, something of the sort, I am curious to know. By all means, let me know. But I like to leave it there. That way I don't have to rewrite a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I know it's global, maybe it's not the ideal, but it works. Again, if there's something wrong, then we're gonna fatal out of it, and if there's no error, we keep on going. Then once we have that encoded, we can do to-do dot insert to-do, and remember this to-do comes from the global declaration at the top. We pass the encoded to-do, and I know this is very weird, but because the encoded to-do also has this method available, we can actually use the same to-do to invoke the method and insert that to-do into the collection. Is it a little bit weird? maybe, but it works. Again, if it's like an anti-pattern, by all means let me know. Maybe I'll change this. If there is an error, then what we want to do is the following: create an error response and put as a message error code 304, which means actually insert to do, I don't know if a 304, I know that a 500 is a server error, 400 is a user error, 304, I don't think that's right. Let me Google that quickly. 304 HTTP error. Not modify the server responded code indicates that the request resource has not been modified since the last time it was loaded. Okay. Oops. Well, anyway, I have that authenticated, so even if you saw the IP address, doesn't matter. I'm gonna change it right now. Okay. But so 304 means that it was not modified. Okay, I guess that makes sense. So I can live like that. But I'll do JSON.new encoder w.encode and error resp. I'll change it to res. Error res. Okay. Return all good. If everything goes well, then my response will actually be a successful one. So response message successfully created to do, and then the code. I think 201 is a creation. I have HTTP status okay, but I don't think it's the proper one. HTTP status success create. Yeah, 201. Yeah, that's what I thought. So we'll put 201. Where do I have this? Create to do success. Okay. So I have that. Then I can create a JSON string where we'll put that response. We also have to create the error in case that something goes wrong. JSON Marshall res. We deal with the error. We can actually do log.fatal error, and then I actually do the exact same thing here and put it here. Just instead of JSON response, actually, you know what, just to have like streamlined, you know, I'll just put that there. JSON string, and then now I can put JSON string. So now I can copy this all the time. I could probably put this in a method, but I'll leave it simple for now. So write all, quit, make, restart. No errors, that's perfect. So let's go ahead and do API v1 to-dos create. And again, remember, this comes from here. Let's give some space so that it looks clean. So API v1 to-dos create. So API v1 to-dos create. Body, okay. So task create YouTube video, and then completed is equal to false. Something that I want to do that I actually noticed before we even keep on going. In the completed, we don't want to omit empty. And the reason is that if you put false, it will take it as you didn't put anything there. So if I have completed false, I want that to be shown in the database. So bear that in mind. So okay, I did the restart. So now I can do the following. And there should be lowercase, right? Task, completed. Okay. Method not allowed. Okay. API we want to do is great. API v1. Okay, let's restart. Oh, I'm doing a get. Okay, let's try this again. Message error 3. Oh, I have a 200. Okay, that's strange. During connection cell, unable to authenticate mechanism. Okay. So let's see why this is erroring out, and this is probably on the service side. So services, wrong client, database, to-dos, DB, collection to-dos. Insert to-do. Let me see if I missed something. I don't seem to be missing anything. Pointer collection to-dos. That looks fine to me. Server running error during handshake. Auth error. SSAL. Scram authentication failed. So the other place that I can think of that maybe I have an error is, oh, okay. Remember that I told you guys that in the make file I needed to add the port and stuff. That's why. So here I'm going to put env, and this because we want to include the env variables. So not port. The password and the username, which are the ones that remember that are being passed here. So we need this, and I'm actually going to copy this. That way I don't have to write multiple times. So I can do, I'll bring that, not that, there. So that, okay. All right, so just so I don't commit any mistakes. MongoDB, okay, so I'm just gonna copy this, paste it, put an equal sign, and put the curly brace and the dollar sign. Okay, same thing, copy, paste, equal, MongoDB. There you go. So make sure that you're copying properly. So also this has to be executed after I set the env variables. So let me get rid of the, okay. All right, so that should be fine. So now I can do make restart. Okay, so now we have the MongoDB password and username. So now let me see if this had an effect. Okay, no, it's still connected, but you know, there's no, the DB won't show until we create an insertion, I believe. All right, successfully created to do. Perfect. Status, this is wrong. If I have 201, this should be 201. And I believe that I'm missing router handler to do. Insert create to do, insert to do. Where did I remember writing this somewhere? Delete to do, okay. Handler to do. Rest code, there you go. W.write header, and then I'm just gonna use the rest.code. So I'm going to do make restart, and let's create another to do. By the way, let's refresh this. To-dos DB, to-dos, updated ad, created ad, completed, false, task ID, boom. That's good. Okay, now let's try this again, but instead of seeing 201 and 201, we should see 201 on both. So create a NeoVim tutorial with Python and Go debugger. And there you go, 201 created. So that's what it should happen. Yeah, because 200 and then 201, that's ridiculous. So it's this line right here, the right header, which also should go here. And what's cool is that we are setting the code, whichever code is, into the header, so we always get the correct code. Okay, so now we have the create. Let's go ahead and write the get. Well, let's do the other, like all of them. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to actually go to the services, func t to do, get all to dos. For this, I don't need anything, but I will be returning an array of to dos or an error. Well, a slice is the correct word, actually. A slice of to dos. All right, so let's start with that. So to get all to dos, again, we have to create our collection variable. So collection is equal to return collection pointer, and this is to the to-dos collection. And we also want to create a variable to-dos where we are going to decode and put the to-dos inside of that to-do slice. So for this, we have to create a cursor variable. Cursor. How do you say it? Cursor? I don't know. A cursor variable where I'm going to find all the to-dos inside of that collection. And very similar to Postgres, right now we'll do like a for loop to assign all of them. If there's an error, we return nil to-do slice and an error, and we also want to print it. So log, okay, we can do log fatal error. Cursor, okay. Otherwise, and by the way, whenever we're done, we want to close the cursor. So cursor dot close, and close it with the context. So that will run at the end, right after we get everything. So for each line within the cursor, or with each object in this case, we're gonna pass the context background and create a single variable or a single to-do and append it to our to-do. So cursor, decode the JSON, put that decoding into our to-do, and then append that to-do into our to-dos. And if all goes well, we return the to-dos. And with nil error. And again, you can document this. Get all to-dos. Returns all the to-dos from the DB. Yeah, I'm not gonna correct the typos, but you are welcome to do. Inserts. So normally what you do see is the name of the function, and then like a dash and then the explanation. Creates to do in the collection. So that's what I've seen. But by all means, go crazy, however you wanna document it. So func t to do get to do by ID. So for that we need the ID, which is a type string, and we're going to either return a to do with nil error or nil to do with the error. Okay, so for that same thing, we're gonna write collection pointing to return collection pointer, which is pointing to the to-dos collection. We're gonna declare a single to-do, so this is gonna be a little bit easier. We're the Mongo ID. So remember that in MongoDB, let me see if I can zoom. Yeah, this ID is very specific. It's an object, and an object that carries the MongoDB object ID. So you cannot just put the string or it's going to give you an error. And that is the reason why we have to convert the ID into a Mongo or an object ID. So I'm just going to put Mongo ID. But know that that's the object, Mongo object ID. And I'm going to change it in the following way. Primitive dot object ID from hex, and pass the ID there. I'm gonna handle the error and to declare but not used. Okay. Can I use nil as to do? Did I pass an empty to do? Yeah. Okay. So we carry on if there's no errors. So also I want to make sure that I can find one. I'm gonna pass a context background, bson m, and so I'm guessing that the m is like the filters or the parameters that you are like looking by. I need to be 100% sure exactly what the .m stands for, but I know that this is kind of like a filter, right? So you're filtering. Okay, what's your filter? That the ID equals the Mongo ID that I just created in hex, and whatever we find, we decode it and assign it to my to-do, to the to-do pointer. Again, we gotta handle the error. If there's an error, actually, I mean, yeah, log.println error, and then return an empty to do and the error. Otherwise, we return the to do with nil value for the error. So that's the get by ID. So get to do by ID, provided an ID returns a single to do. Okay. So we already have the insert, so we're gonna create the update. So func t, because remember this is a method, update to do. So this is gonna have an entry, or whatever you want to update. And this is not going to return anything other than if there was an error, it'll return an error. Let's see. Okay. Same thing. Collection is equal to return collection pointer to-dos. So the Mongo ID, because we want to make sure that we are updating the proper one, we actually don't need an ID for this. We can get this from the to-do.id. So primitive.object from ID hex. So to do dot or entry.id, and probably if you're doing like a React application, you just need to also send the ID, which is something not complicated, honestly, because in order to do the update you already need the ID in the first place, so it shouldn't be a big stretch. If there's an error, then we return the error. Do we want to return something else? We can return the updated results. There should be a pointer, so Mongo update result error. Then here I can return nil pointer error. Otherwise, we can keep on going with our update. So I'm gonna do B's and so okay, B's and D's in order, representation of B's and D's, and then this should be when the order of elements matters, such as MongoDB command documents. So I guess Bson for Bson document or Bson. Okay, AD should not be constructed duplicate key names as that can cause such behavior. Example. Okay, so there you go. That's your brief explanation of Bson.d. So set, what is that we're going to do? We're going to be setting new values, and this is not my ideal. Well, I mean, we don't have to change much, but so for example, we're going to be changing the task. So if we're changing the task, if not, we can just send the same. But and this is entry, so entry, and this is not task, this, oh no, my bad, task. Sorry, and this should be an object of its own. Completed, so entry dot completed, and updated at, so now this is where this matters. And here we can do it time dot now. Why is it okay? There you go. Time dot now, and I just missed the comma. Missing another comma here, and then don't worry about the warnings. Res error, and then we do collection dot update one, pass the, I like to put this at the same level as res, so we need to pass the context background, the updated B's and D object that we just created in order to make that update. And in the middle, actually, before I put the update, I should put Bson M, so like what, by what filter, like which object are we changing. So we are going to target that object by passing the ID and the Mongo ID. Do I have string? String ID, Y, Mongo ID, object ID from hex. Missing key map literal. I believe that should be like so. Context background, Bson M. Oh, there you go. And then, well, first handle the error. Then if everything goes right, then we return the response with nil. Now I know that this is a little bit hectic, but that's what you need to do in order to have your MongoDB CRUD. And the last one that we are missing is the delete. So function t to do delete to do. We only need the ID, so this is going to be simpler. We only return the error. Same thing, collection pointing to return a collection pointer to the to-dos collection. We're gonna get the Mongo ID and error from our primitive. We could probably also make a function out of this, but I'll keep it simple, and for now I'll leave it like that. And I'll pass the ID that we grabbed from here. Okay. From there, well, again, handle the error. Log dot. Do I want to put fatal? Did I put fatal? No, print line. Probably I could put fatal. Oh well. By the way, everywhere where I have fatal, I may want to put print line so it doesn't break the application. But we'll see. Okay, so now that I have that, I want to delete one object from our collection. So I'm gonna put delete one. So very similar thing, we want to make sure that we know which one we are deleting. So we're gonna pass a context background, and we're gonna pass a filter, which is the bsym m. So again, m is in an order representative. This should be used when order elements does not matter. This does have a regular map string interface. So I'm guessing it's using a hash map from the ID of the object to the actual object value. And elements will be serialized. Yeah, that's my guess. Okay. So the ID will be our Mongo ID that we created. And it's my fault for not putting the 2 dots there. There you go. And same thing. Log.println error, and then return nil. And that's it. That's all we have for our services. So lastly, what we want to do is go to our handlers in the to-do and add all of those. Which, believe it or not, it's actually going to be very fast now that we have all our services created. So let's go ahead with the get to do. So func get to do's whdp.response writer r http.request, and later I can probably copy paste that. But to do's is equal to error to do dot get all to do's. We handle that. If there's an error, we do a log.println error. Otherwise, we do w.header. Where do I have this? Let's write that. Probably I need a response. Actually, no, I don't need a response. To-dos, new encoder encode. Okay, header. Okay, so we're gonna define JSON.new encoder. We're gonna write that and encode our to-dos into JSON format. So that's how we return the to-dos. Now we need to do the get to do by ID. So what I'm going to do, just what I said, put that there. And I have this with uppercase. We can lowercase them maybe. I don't think we're gonna be using them anywhere else. So if I see that we need to uppercase them, I will. But for now, I'll lowercase them. And I know that the health. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so get to do by ID. So ID, we're gonna get this ID from cheat.url param. So we're gonna get this from the parameter route declaration. So I'm gonna open this so you guys can see where from. So whenever I do router.get to do's and then I put ID, this ID, this is the param. Okay, so that's where, you know, whatever ID we pass in the URL, that's how we're gonna get it. And this will be the get to do by ID. There you go. Okay, so we have that. We're gonna say to do and error is equal to do get by ID, pass the ID, handle error there, log.println error, do the following thing here, but instead of to do's, I'm just gonna put to do. Then if I'm saying cheap, okay, I think I have to get this from the request. Yeah, there you go. So get to do by ID, create to do's, and by all means add the comments. I just wanna, you know, finish for your guys' sake. And sorry if am I covering this? No. Okay, so you can see this. Okay, cool. If I move a little bit. Okay. So let's finish this. Get to do's by ID, create to do. Now we're missing update and delete. Okay, so func. It's not update. What am I doing? I wanna copy this. Func update to do, and we said that we're gonna keep lowercase. Yeah. Same thing, I need the ID, so ID is equal to cheat.url param, use the request and pass the param as ID, which again, this is going to be of type put to do's. I'm gonna do update and pass the ID. This is going to be update to do. So very similar, I guess, to create. We don't need a body. Actually, no, it's not that similar to. I guess in getting the body. Okay, so JSON.new decoder r.body.decode and decode that into the to-do address. Handle the error, log.println error. Then just handle the error. We really don't care for our response in this particular case. Update to do, where we pass the body. No, we should pass it to do. Why is this no numeral to do? Okay, so it's saying that probably because we already used the error. Okay, so no new variables. Okay, there. Rest. So if all goes well, I should handle an error here. So I'm gonna do something similar. here I'm just gonna copy this. Error insert to do. If error. There, that's where I'm gonna put it. Because if something went wrong, is that there was no content updated. So if something goes wrong, then we send an error. And probably I also want to do errors.code. Okay. If everything goes well, then we go ahead and do message successfully updated. Successfully updated. Let's not add unnecessary stuff there. So same thing. I'm actually going to go to this right here because I wrote almost exactly the same, where I'm just creating a JSON string, setting it equal to error. If something goes wrong, print that error. Probably you can even add, well, it may be a different code. So yeah, I don't know if I want to write all of this. Yeah, no, it's actually not an error code because it would be an error of the marshalling, so this is fine. But if all goes well, 202 is fine, and we return the JSON string. Okay. Last thing, the delete. So delete to do. So actually, I also don't want to be rewriting this. So let's move that there. And let's do same thing. This I don't need to copy. Should be fast. G.URL param from the request. We'll pass that from the ID URL param. Error is equal to do dot delete to do, where we pass the ID. If there's an error, then we print it. Which actually the proper thing to do would be this. There you go. But if all goes well, I'm gonna copy also this. There's a trick here. So response successfully, I'm gonna put successfully deleted. Probably we can also create a function here that creates a response with the message that you want and the status code that you want. But I think it's good that you guys learn how to write this, and then later you can create your own functions. So we're gonna marshal this. I believe because it's a 204, which is no content successful deletion, you may not even see anything here. So sorry, this should be a 204. There you go. So I believe that this is redundant, and this is redundant too. So 204, you just return a 204 like successfully deleted. Let me Google that. Successful deleted HTTP code. If means that deleted operation succeeds, return a status code 200-202. If the resource is already removed and your HTTP related request for resource, return 22 or 204. In that case, not 404. Or accepted the action will likely succeed, but it has not have been enacted. No content. Okay, the action has been enacted. Okay, so I guess 200, because like the action was accepted, like the deletion was accepted. That's interesting. So maybe I should change my code where like 200 is that everything performed as expected. Successfully deleted, so then this is not futile. And then we can write that and put this. Sorry, 200 apparently, according to Google. But the message is successfully deleted. So I'm guessing that this should also be a 200. But the 201, I will leave it like that. I know that I have the 201s over there. ID. Oh, I don't need the ID there. There you go. This 201, I'll leave it like that. Okay, so we have everything in place. I'm gonna do write all. You can save it in your VS Code. Now in the writer, I'm gonna close this so you guys can have view. Oh, okay. Why does my telescope? There you go. Router. Okay, so I'm gonna go to line 30. This is going to be a delete to-dos, delete to-do. And this is what I like about the app and V1 and whatever, is that everything is wrapped and you can easily tell that all of this is part of the /API/V1. So I think that's nice. Okay, so I'm gonna do make restart. Okay, so let's make sure that all of these work. So get to-dos. I did not write it. Router.get to-dos. Wow, I forgot that. Get to-dos. And let's put that on top just because I like to put those in order. Okay. Boom. So we have our 2 there. That works. Let's make sure that this still works. Well, actually, let's first get by ID. So let's see if we can get 1. So there you go. We only have 1. Perfect. Now let's do a post. Create any of them. Create a React and current technology vlog. Not blog, but you know, I guess that are not a rant, but like I wanted to post my opinion about it. Okay, so let's see if that was posted. Okay, perfect. Now let's update this one. So to-dos, update, we pass the ID. This will be a put. And let's copy all of this. I'm gonna put body. I'm gonna get rid of the ID. I'm gonna get rid of this too. Completed, true. What was completed? We just created a create a MongoDB and go YouTube video. Yes, yes sir. B to do update. Okay, let's see. To-dos update. Superfluous right header call at todo.go. So 105. Update to do. Okay, let's see what's wrong with this. Oh, this shouldn't go here probably. That right header. That's my guess. Let's try again. Okay, another error. Silent error. Let's see, response, successful response. Let's try that again. We have an error here. First of all, I want to see what are we getting. By the way, notice how like this makes it not work, and if you get rid of the slash, it works again. So just make sure that you're not putting that. False, false. Okay, so create YouTube video. Interesting. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, so put update. Okay. The provided hex string is not a valid object ID. Okay, cool. So I should be returning that error. Why is that not new encode right here? Rest code. W right. New encoder. I wonder if I can put that here because that's useful information that otherwise I would not be able to see. So errors. Oh my god, do I have to do that? Like, no encode errors. Okay, sorry guys, I'm just taking my time. I wanna string error is equal to, okay. Okay, I'm complicating this unnecessarily. Because this doesn't give me any information. So I wanted to do something. Variable type error into string. Okay, I wonder if, okay, last try. Okay. Because I want to be able to get that through the API. So message. Okay, that's a little bit better. Obviously, this is not right. This is not a 200. So 304 not modified. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll check. I'll update this. But okay, I need to do make restart. What's important is that we see the error here. Obviously, I want to make this a proper JSON, so I need to check that out. But now we have the message. The provided hex string is not a valid object ID. There you go. So this is a little bit better handled. we have proper information. So now we can go into the services and know that in the update, so update the primitive ID, so that's one. Mongo ID, what do I have? Service. Object ID from X, okay. Completed task set. So I don't know if this may be the culprit. I think it is. Well, let's try that one more time. Yeah, no, I'm still getting the error. Okay. So set B and D. Task entry completed. Collection MongoDB ID. Underscore ID update. Okay, the other reason why this may not be I'm not passing the ID. That's why. Okay, so that is okay. So let's say that I only want to update this. There's two things that you can do. You can just pass this and then pass the URL ID, which is the most common thing, or you always have to include the ID. So in the to-do handlers here, I'm also gonna get the ID. So ID is equal to chi.url.param r ID. And then in the to-do, I'm gonna pass the ID first and then the to-do. I know that that's like you know, could be redundant, but as you saw in this case, it was not redundant. And that's why we're getting an empty ID. We're not passing an ID because here we don't have the ID. We only have it in the URL and we were ignoring that. So now it should work. The provided head string, what is going on? Did I not save it? Oh, I'm still passing the entry ID. Duh. Okay. There you go. Successfully updated. Okay, so now if I do not that created MongoDB and go YouTube true. Okay, so this was updated. Perfect. And then let's go and delete create YouTube video because it's non-specific. So to do's delete, I'll pass the ID, changes to delete, and successfully deleted. So now if I go again and get all the to-dos, we should only see 2. So 1, 2, perfect. So I know this took a little bit, it took 2 hours, but you know, we have a full CRUD, we have a Docker image running, right? So it's easier, I think so. We did this with Docker Compose. We have all of this inside of MB files, right? So you don't need to show anything of your variable. So I think that's also good. We saw how to set up a application, pointing to the models, setting the, you know, the listen and serve, putting your specific folder structure. It's kind of like domain-driven design or hexagonal architecture type of architecture, but not really. So hopefully with this you learn a lot. You can implement this in your projects. You can, you know, I know this took 2 hours. It's really simple, especially once you know what to do. It's very easy to, you know, plug and play. And yeah, please give it a like, share, subscribe, and, you know, support this channel if you can, please. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care.